Question for you both. Who is Mike Atherton writing about in the Times when he says this? It's a recent article, by the way. Not many England batsmen have puzzled me more. How can one go from looking so flawed to so good from match to match? And how can one look so ordinary and then so destructive in both county and international cricket? First off, do you know who he's talking about?
Zak
Crawley.
Correct. So Mike Atherton does not know the answer to that, to his own question. Do you?
I don't think Zac Crawley is that hard to understand. So Zac Crawley never made high-level runs at any stage in his life. And Bumble will tell you that, like, there's batting skills, being able to pick up the ball really easily and, you know, understand the length, the line, the time, which Zac Crawley has all of those things. But what stage of his life did he learn how to make innings? Right? He knows how to hit a ball when it's coming down to him at 90 miles an hour, and he knows how to sweep a spinner. He doesn't really know how to craft innings. So he gets in and he hits the ball really, really well, and then he's out. Right? And so you look at his recent form, it's 100 in the last, 20 innings or something, and everything else is double-figure scores. So he's worked out under Bazball how to hit a couple of early boundaries, put pressure back on the opposition, but he doesn't know how to go through the gears like Brian Lara does. He doesn't know how to build an innings the way that someone like Michael Clarke learnt later in his career, because he's never done that at any level. Like, he was averaging, 28 or something in first-class cricket. He hasn't played that part of it. On top of that, he has two major technical flaws, right? He has that bottom hand when he's facing the quick bowlers, when the ball's back of a length and moving away, which is a pretty standard delivery you get a lot in Test cricket. And he tries to drive that on the up and he gets an edge through to the slips. And then his back lift comes from too wide when he's facing spinners that are moving the ball away. So he's always playing across the line. So there's always probably one bowler in the opposition. Remember, Mitchell Marsh caused him a lot of problems just because Mitchell Marsh bowled the exact length that Zak Crawley couldn't play. The other Australian bowlers, he was just pinging them through the covers like nothing. So he's got technical flaws, and he has that, I don't know if you call the other one a technical flaw, but it's a skill he hasn't yet developed, which is how to build an innings and go all the way through. He reminds me a lot of Shane Watson. Right? Shane Watson would come out and go ping, 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 get to about 40, and you'd be like, oh, he's going to make 300 here. And then he was out for 42 almost every time because he had a big technical flaw that he could never overcome.
Leg before Watson.
Leg before Watson.
But isn't it still quite strange to see a batter go out? This is in county cricket as well. It was a sequence of scores this season, and I don't have them to hand. But essentially, he's probably played 10 county innings. He's reached double figures maybe twice, and he's hit 260 odd. That's a little odd, isn't it?
It is, and you'd look at the ways he gets out. Where does he get out? Is he always caught at slip? First, second, third slip. He's opening the batting, so they're going to have slips. It's going to be a new ball, predominantly moving away. I like that what Jarrod says, that his bottom hand, he's going to send him through square leg mid-wicket, whereas, you know, really, as an opening batter, you'd be saying that if it's coming this way at me, I want to get it back straight at him. You're going to beat mid-on your left-hand side, you're going to beat mid-off on his right-hand side, so therefore it's coming down pretty straight. And so, you know, there's always evidence that Zak Crawley will go across. But when he's on, he's on. Now, I still think he's got time to work out how to build an innings. And, you know, it's that basic thing, get to the other end. Have a bit of assessment, you know, get a single, get a one. But predominantly, the bat comes down in a straight line. Eventually, it might go up to start with in any sort of direction, Don Bradman, who you like. But eventually, it comes down on a straight line. He hasn't just got that yet. I don't think he's got that. And whether it's a little grip thing or whether it's his head just over, I think he'll do it. I think he looks box office.
What about, to me, he looks like a guy who's faced a lot of throwdowns and a lot of ball machines when he was younger, right?
Sure he did.
Yeah,
sure he did.
Which I mean, we know he did, but you can see that Pat Cummins, I know Pat Cummins is not a batter, but you watch Pat Cummins and you're like, when the ball's coming on beautifully for Pat Cummins, you think he could hit anything for six here and no one will ever get him out. The minute there's any sort of variety in it, Pat Cummins looks completely confused because he spent years when he was injured as a bowler just getting throw down in the
mechanical.
Yeah,
mechanical.
And I think it's that. But the one thing I would say that's on Crawley's side is he was picked way too early because England were rubbish. Right? He should never have been playing Test cricket at the age he was because he hadn't worked out a lot of these problems. He's still working them out. he's 26. Most batters reach their peak by 28, right? That is when your athleticism matches your wisdom, right? And you get about, what, if you're lucky,
That's what I say. I think he's got time.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years.
He's had the
you get that peak, don't
experience,
you? Yeah.
and he's savvy enough, he's clever enough to have worked it out and looked at these scores and think, well, how do I rectify that?
Yeah.
So I assume he's working with somebody as well. But the sting is don't lose that aggression. The aggression that you've got that puts pressure back on the bowler, and you've got to eliminate the little bits of silliness that creep in.
I do wonder if McCullum is the best and the worst thing to happen to Crawley, because you want him to keep being aggressive.
Keep going. He's
and
going to
they're
say
backing,
keep going,
which
keep
is great.
going.
But they've turned him into a guy who basically hits 30 to 60, right? Whereas actually Crawley's ceiling should be a lot higher than that. He's probably got more natural talent to be able to, make a lot more runs. And they've turned him into this guy. This is such a random name, but Bumble will know. There was a guy called Keith Stackpole who played for Australia, and they said, Stacky, just keep being aggressive, keep being aggressive. Stacky never made any runs, right? He was aggressive, and he could put teams off, and he'd hook everyone. He loved having a go at balls. He'd smash it back over your head if he wanted to as well. But he never made any runs because they kept telling him his whole career, you're not that good, Stacky, but you're putting off the opposition, so keep doing it. And he ended up averaging like 35. Is that what they want from Zak Crawley? A guy who has a strike rate of 70 who averages 35 to 38? Or do they want someone who potentially could average 45 with the kind of impact that he could have because of his scoring rate?
Or England's opener's vulnerable, the pair of them. Where, the other lad, he's different. He don't miss many. Don't let it go.
He doesn't let go
anything. He doesn't assess and have a little look at this. He bum, 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 bum. Is that opening pair set in stone for years to come?
Question mark.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.